What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul.
Welcome, everyone, to the Old Testament Survey Analysis. I am the analyst. Pastor Gavin is still the host. This is our after show of the Old Testament Survey, where we go a little bit more in depth with some of the scripture, and I ask Pastor Gavin a few follow-ups. Follow us on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Facebook, the Boiling Point Podcast, and follow Pastor Gavin on YouTube as well, and give him a subscribe and share out some of his episodes. And he does the music for both the Old Testament Survey show and the after show. So, Pastor Gavin, credit for the music for you on that one. Make sure we get that right this time. And our storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. Pick up some apparel and help support the show. Pastor Gavin, the book of Ezra. The first thing there's a couple of things that I want to talk about right at the top. The first thing is that right at the top of the episode, you mentioned about Bible being fact. And we just talked about, before we got into the after show, we just talked about doing another episode about the Bible being real, and including some other things with it. But I want to make sure to reference everybody. Go check out episodes 36 through 43. It's a great series of episodes. It's Pastor Gavin and then Uncle Mark. It's like an altar. They both come on different episodes, but they kind of flow one right into the next. And this is among many other topics that we discuss in that series. But it's a really great series, so make sure you check that out. Also, episode 49, a Bible conversation with me and Pastor Gavin. I believe also we talk about that and about the Bible being fact in that episode. And since we're planning another one, we're not going to spend too much time on that. But I did want to point it out that you said that right at the top, and that we have a couple of episodes available that people can go and see about what we say about that and why it is that we say that. Mm-hmm. This next thing I want to point out is welcome to planet Earth. Okay, I want you to know that I laughed out loud, like belly laughed out loud, sitting on the other side of this, watching you when you said that. Okay, I erupted in laughter. In fact, it is going to be a soundbite now. I've been planning to make some sound bites for the show. Okay, and just like getting people's voices saying a word or something like that. Okay, I am going to extract the exact way you said it from this episode, and it will be a soundbite for the Boiling Point Podcast in the near future. So just wanted to let you know that too, that's likely to become our very official first soundbite, is that right there.
Yeah, and my point in saying that is that it's just part of life on earth that we have, sometimes we have trouble, we have difficulty, we have obstacles to overcome. Things don't always go perfectly,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's part of, what this world is and stuff. So
yeah. And in Ezra, they faced some opposition, and they were even engaged in trying to do the right thing. And in spite of that, they faced some opposition.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, wow. Could you imagine someone facing opposition, even when doing the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost like, the world has sin in it or something. Like, it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah. So that's definitely going to be a soundbite. Now let's talk about some of the points. Just a couple of points here inside the book. Ezra. It seemed like when you were going through it, Ezra is more of like a book of history.
Yes, it is. Yeah. The Bible's divided up into different sections. The Bible is actually like a library. It's not just one book. It's a collection it's like a set of encyclopedias. And there is a reason why it's organized the way that it is. So the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, they're the books of Moses, or the books of the law. The Jews call that the Torah. Then the following books are the historical books. So you have those historical books, and then the next section is the poetry section. So, you have Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, and then the next section is the prophets. So you have the major prophets: Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Then the rest of the Old Testament are the minor prophets. They're called minor because, generally speaking, they're shorter in length. So yeah, this is we're looking at part of the historical section of the Bible, and it is. I mean, all the Bible's history, but
Yes, but I was just for our viewers' sake. What I was
yeah,
meant was because we know that, as Pastor Gavin said, the book of Ezra was written around 440 BC, but
yeah,
it
and it
describes events.
might have been like 400.
Yeah, that's
That's a
why we would
very
say around or
rough.
approximately. I think I forgot to
Yeah,
put approximately in this time. I think I just said
right.
around,
Yeah,
but normally we always say around
yeah,
or approximately when we're not sure. But it talks
yeah.
about events that happened already. Isn't that right? Between
Right.
538
Yeah.
and 457.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it is a historical book, but not, as
Hmm.
you just explained, not unimportant or doesn't fit into the Bible. I just wanted to bring that up so you could go through the different
Yeah.
sections as you just did.
So yeah. So it shows what happened to the Jewish people after they got carried away captive into Babylon. Well, they returned. And they were there in the land until they kept rebelling against the Romans. Then the Romans destroyed Jerusalem, and the Jews were scattered throughout the world. But God still was not through with them, even though they, by and large, rejected their Messiah. God still has a purpose and plan for them, and so now they're back in the land of their fathers. And one day, I mean, I'm convinced the Bible teaches that one day they will be not only geopolitically restored but spiritually restored. One day, when Christ returns, in connection with the return of Christ, not the rapture, but the second coming,
Yeah,
when Christ actually comes back to earth and rules and reigns, that they'll look on him, Zechariah says, whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him. And the Lord will be the king over all the earth in that day. So they're going to be restored. So yeah, this just is part of the story, how they get back into the land, and in connection with how were they in there, uh, up until when Christ came. Well, this explains how the place got rebuilt and so forth.
yeah. And with everything going on in the world today, I think it's the history of Israel is, even more important.
Right. Yeah, God gave them that land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, so you said in the book here that God uses non-believers. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. God can. He can. Somebody said it this way, that God can even take a crooked stick and use a crooked stick to draw a straight line if he wants to. And so, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus. And God uses all kinds of people for different purposes, and so even though this Cyrus was not a believer in the true and living God, the Lord still moved him, to give the decree that they could go back and rebuild the temple. Yeah.
I just found that I wanted to make sure that that was a point for people too. So
Hmm.
I wanted to point out I didn't have a visual for it, but the temple was built in 515 BC. Again, the events of time that we're talking about is 538 to 457. And remember, BC counts down; it goes backwards.
Right.
So the count gets lower the closer you get to Christ.
Right. So with BC, the bigger the number, the farther back it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. 515 BC. Yeah.
Which is an adjustment for some people, which is also why I pointed that
Yeah.
out, because some people really have
Right.
trouble with that, turning it around like that. And
Yeah.
then you said did you say chapter 7 is 57 years later?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
later
So
from,
so that's when Ezra comes. He comes 57 years later. Um, that you know during the second wave of the exiles who are
okay,
returning from Babylon. Yeah.
so the book of Ezra really covers a wide range of time.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And if you've been watching these series, watch them in order. We do when the book was written, or at least approximately when the book was written, and who, if we know, who likely wrote the various books.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, and if you can watch you can watch the count on each episode. I put the visual up, and the count's getting lower the closer we get to the end of the Old Testament.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to point out is that the book of Ezra picks up where Second Chronicles leaves off.
Okay.
So Second Chronicles describes, the Babylonians,
I don't think I made that
invading
connection.
Judah and destroying Jerusalem and destroying the temple. So Ezra picks up after that.
Okay, good. So not only some of these books are really not necessarily written in order, but like the timeline that they're going over is it is in a chronological order here, as we found out with the dates so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all I have for this. I think Ezra was a pretty easy, not an easy, but it was easier than some of the other books we've recently done.
Yeah. One other thing, like Ezra 7:10, where Ezra prepared his heart to, to understand the law and to live it, to do it, and then to teach it. That's really a good example, isn't it? That God wants us to not only learn His word, but it's not just to gain more head knowledge, but to live it in our lives and to share it with others. Share that knowledge with others. What we're trying to do here is share that knowledge with others.
And what you try and do, make sure you go check out Pastor Gavin on YouTube. And he's going to finally have an official public page on Facebook soon, very soon. So keep checking back, because soon he won't have to worry about accepting friend requests. You can just follow him on Facebook very soon. But for now, subscribe to him on YouTube, and you'll be notified when he releases new episodes of his own sermons. And he does that every Sunday like clockwork. He occasionally takes a weekend off once every 6 or 7 years. And then, sometimes around Christmas, he'll maybe take a week off. But he's one of the most consistent content producers that you're ever going to find online. And you can look for his new sermons every week. And of course, the Boiling Point podcast, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble as well. Please hit that subscribe button, share these episodes out so that we can continue to grow this, not only just this series, but the show as a whole. Look for a live episode. We're going to we have decided, Pastor, I think, right? We're going to do a live episode for the one in between the Old Testament and the New Testament. So we're going to do a special episode between the Old Testament and the New Testament. We're going to make that a live episode. And so make sure you follow us on Facebook and stay tuned to information on that. I'm not even sure. We have a couple more books to go. Yeah, likely this episode released before we're ready to shoot that. So yes, please look for the live episode. It'll likely be coming out very soon after you've watched this. The next episode, hopefully, we'll have more concrete. Actually, we're going to shoot the next episode tonight. So in the book of what's after
Nehemiah is next,
and then we have
we just did Ezra, so Nehemiah, and then Esther, and then Job.
Esther. So look, the episode that we do Esther and or Job, which I'm personally looking forward to Job. But in Esther and Job, we'll likely in those episodes we'll have more information about the live episode. So stay tuned for that as well. We want to really push that. We'd really like some fan interaction on that episode. Follow us everywhere. Share us out. One last plug for my storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast. Pick yourself up some apparel. Pastor Gavin has a shirt too, but he doesn't always wear it, or he wear nothing else with our shooting schedule. For the host, Pastor Gavin Whitcomb Sr., I am the analyst. That's the end.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this, here comes the Lord of bliss, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse